Hello and welcome everyone to Love, Life and Energy. I have another incredible, amazing special guest, Anthony Hartcher. You're going to find out a lot more about him, and especially if you're someone who's on the path towards your inner focus, self-love, self-healing, Anthony's going to be a game changer for you today. So definitely stick around. Welcome to Love, Life and Energy. I'm Michelle Chung and I'm passionate about all things love, manifesting, relationships, woo-woo stuff, health and wellness. This podcast is your go-to sanctuary for personal growth, designed for busy, career-driven women who are ready to embrace their highest potential and not settle for an average, ordinary life. Let's grow and manifest your dream life together. Hello, Anthony. Welcome.
Hello, Michelle. So great to be on here. Really looking forward to enlightening your listeners, watchers of this exciting podcast.
Thank you. Thank you. And yeah, I really was interested to have you on the show because like when we first spoke, we had so much alignment. Like we were just like, yep. And we just, like everything you spoke of just aligned so well, especially with the gut health. Like I'm very interested in gut health, like having my own journey like a decade ago. And you're also a clinical nutritionist, you're a mind coach, you're the host of your own podcast, Health Up and Joyful Mate podcast, and you're a wellness facilitator and you're really focused on mental health and you bridge science and spirituality, which I love. I love. So that's why I'm so excited to have you here.
Michelle, I've just got someone at the front doorbell, so you want to pause
Okay.
the recording?
Okay,
Sorry,
cool.
sorry. Thank you, Michelle. It was a very kind introduction of yours, and I really look forward to us sharing what you've shared with the listeners in I guess, a full version, a fully integrated, and yeah, just looking forward to enlightening their path, helping
Awesome.
them find the best version of themselves.
Awesome. Thank you. So I guess just to wind it back a little bit, I guess a lot of people are seeking, when we first met, you said a lot of people are seeking the gut health part and they have tummy issues, they have bloating, they have other chronic issues. But what you've been finding is the path to the healing is that root cause. So maybe could we hear a little bit about how you connected the two and maybe even your own journey in this field?
Yeah, it all began with my own journey and curiosity of being a sick kid and
Uh,
not not no one telling me actually what's wrong with me other than pointing out the signs and symptoms that I was experiencing, and but no one ever questioned why. And so my journey was to find out why, and my approach today is very much looking for that why, because at the end of the day those signs and symptoms will keep expressing themselves if we continue just to suppress them or ignore them. And the more we suppress them, the more they come out in other forms.
yeah.
And so
Yeah.
we just get sicker when we suppress our signs and symptoms or ignore them. The signs and symptoms, tip of the iceberg, and we need to get down to the bottom as to what's driving those signs and symptoms from a physical and even mental point of view. They are there with they are there to tell us something that the body's trying to heal and it needs support. And often they're letting us know what it needs or what
Yes.
it doesn't need. And but we often ignore that and we just think, oh, it'll go away. But it won't. It will stay there. It will, yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting because knowing everything I know now about how the universe actually works, quantum theory, all the good stuff, universal law, and then when you're in the state of pain, chronic illness, or inflammation, or whatever it may be, there's no way you can connect the two, right? So you have to make it digestible, pun intended, where you go back to addressing those physical symptoms because your body's actually, like what you said, is really trying to guide you and trying to give you those clues. But we're so much in this mindset of, I'll just take a pill, I'll just keep on at it. I don't want to be weak. I just got to be hardcore and just get back to work.
Yeah, we're often looking for that quick fix. I just can't put up with it. I can't deal with the pain or suffering, and so we're looking for that immediate relief, and that immediate relief provides long-term problems. So
Yeah.
yeah, we're chasing short-term bells and whistles, but it often comes with long-term pain. It's much better to take to investigate and to investigate thoroughly and not to accept, oh, I don't know. It's the more we look, the more we'll find. We may never get to the true thing, but we'll get at least close to it and at least take and at least embrace that journey. I think part of what we're not willing to do is take on the process.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that
It's too hard,
that
right?
journey, yeah,
Yeah.
it's too hard.
Yeah.
And but it's so revealing. It
Right.
will actually help heal you in so many more ways than just the physical discomfort. It will start to heal the emotional, start to guide you on a spiritual path. So yeah, it's really us thinking that life should be easy without any, I guess, hardship. Like we're just looking for that easy path.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Can you share with us a case study, anything that stands out in particular where you've guided somebody from what seemed like a very physical presentation, like symptoms in the body, and then how you've guided them to more the mental health changes, the emotional changes, all that really good root cause kind of stuff?
Yeah, I had a guy board, and it was just after he'd tried to take his life. And he was obviously in desperate need for help. And it was his third time he'd been in the psychiatric ward in 2 years. So it was really, you could say, rock bottom at that point in his life. And he'd been through all the psychiatric process, going around to see all the different specialists, and but it was just a loop, and that he wasn't breaking out of that loop. And it was because he was running away from his shadow, his disowned part of him that he essentially wasn't loving, and he wanted to escape it. And the pain became too great because, as you're probably very much aware, what we focus on just gets bigger, it just
Yep.
expands. And
Yep.
so, if we focus on that disowned part and the hate towards it, it overwhelms us, and it became his life. But he had so much more to give, and hence why he didn't stop looking. And so my journey with him was facing the shadow, the side of him that he was disowning, disliking, and getting him to, first of all, own it and then love it. And he went on this path where we just went on it. We've been working together for a good 2 years now. But after a year, he was really solid, and I wasn't concerned. But obviously, in those early days, it was still it was a bit like walking on eggshells in a sense because he was at that point. So it was a long journey, and he embraced it. But now he's flying free. Like I rarely hear from him. Like I was obviously we're in close contact in those early stages of working together. But now I don't hear from him for it's probably been a good 6 months.
Oh,
And yeah, yes, it is.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, awesome. And what do you think in particular helped him make that switch over from being on the brink of life to actually really embodying and having a fulfilling life?
I think it was he knew there's something more,
Mm.
and he still had that, you could say, that tune inside of him, or the voice inside of him, or that wanted to express itself. And he really ultimately connected to that. And the reason why he's still with us today is because his loved ones flashed in front of him and pretty much saved his life. So there was, in those dire moments, the universe was telling him that you're here for something, and it's so much greater than you. And part of this journey was to really get him to connect with what's truly him rather than listening to outside voices. Too
Mm.
much we get influenced by the outside world and we lose our inner voice. And but that inner voice was expressed itself right at the right moment to save his life. And it's flourishing. It's out there. It's really inspiring to watch.
Wow. And if someone's going through some, let's focus on the mental health part, some loops where they keep focusing on the depression, on the anxiety, or are in a mental state they just can't seem to get out of, what would you say would be your suggestion and advice to start to break through?
It really depends. So, for example, some people, we mention that pill, just taking the pill and getting quick relief, but sometimes that pill enables them to then get the support that they need to then take them to the next step. And so it really depends on who they are and what resonates with them. So there'll be different things that resonate with different people depending on that stage and what best supports them. So for example, like some people will be told when they're heavily anxious, oh, you just need to meditate. But then straight away they go,
Yeah.
"Oh, I tried meditating, it made it worse. I feel so much worse."
Yep.
And so this is why it's finding and why, thank God, the Dave, I can mention his name because he's given me a beautiful testimonial. But Dave, he didn't give up. He just
Yeah.
kept looking for things, and he did list like his brother was telling him for this 2 year journey that he was really struggling. His brother was seeing him struggle. Was I want you to reach out to a life coach. I want you to reach,
Mm.
and he goes, no, I don't need a life coach. I don't need a life coach.
Yep.
And he was thought, I'm third time in the psychiatric ward, maybe I should. Anyway,
Yeah.
so but yeah,
Health.
but yeah, so as much as I'm saying that we can lose ourselves in listening to the outside world, but at the same way, the outside world can also help us find ourselves. So it's
Absolutely.
it
That's
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah, yeah. So that's I think it really depends on the person, and it's just yeah, you really need to meet the person, understand where they're
Mm.
at, understand who they are, and you could you could say, I sense you need, like you can pick up what they
Yeah.
need, but without having that person in front of me, it's there's a minefield of
Mm.
solutions out there,
True,
and
true.
one of them is taking a pill. You get what I mean? So I'm not dismissing that pill can really get them to the next step.
Okay. And is this common that a lot of people come to you with this severity, or is this like a range that you see of people who come to you?
I must say I tracked the severity because when you were mentioning that example, I was like a whole lot of clients just popped in my head and they were quite full on. Like the other one I was going to talk about was the guy that just got released from jail
Oh, wow.
and didn't want to go back. And then I've had women in similar dire straits. Yeah, yes, but I do get the range. It's much easier to work with obviously when they just notice that they're first anxious and they're thinking this is not right and I don't want
Mm.
this, rather than ignore the anxiousness for decades and then ends up quite severe.
Yeah.
So like anxiety easily leads to depression and they're very interlinked between the two, or depression can bring about anxiety. So yeah, so there's a full spectrum, and yeah, I can work with anywhere on the spectrum, but I guess my magic is probably best served in the more severe cases.
Mm, okay. And can you give us like a bit more of a detail for anyone who doesn't know anxiety, depression, what makes them different? What are the signs? Like, how do you know you have either or both? Is that possible?
Yeah, yeah, you can certainly have both, and they're both. We all experience it, and it can be quite daily or periods of the day. I think that the best defining thing is being stuck in it. So it's not to say that you should never be anxious or you should never be depressed. And it's the same with bipolar and all these things, autism and everything like this, ADHD, for example. We all experience it to some degree over our lifetime. All
Mm,
of us. The problem is when we're stuck in it and we can't see a way out. That's when it becomes problematic. But it is natural to seesaw. It's natural for our moods to fluctuate. It's natural to wake up and feel that this isn't a great day for me. Like I don't feel good. But it's telling you something. It's the same as the anxiety. Oh, I feel a bit flustered and overwhelmed, and it's there telling you something. You've taken on too much. Like
mm,
it's the depression. You're focused on things that aren't you. You're trying to do
mm.
everything for everyone else as opposed to doing things that resonate with you. And so they're there to tell us a message, and we need to realize that it's normal to have these periods, but it's when we're stuck in them and can't and feel that we can't get out is when we need to do something about it. But
Mm.
the waves of all mental health come and go with all of us. Don't feel that once you get diagnosed with something that you're stuck with that for life. It's not like that. Medicine would like you to think that because then
Yeah.
you're stuck on the drug for life.
Yes, I was going to say that. It becomes a label, an identity
Yes.
that you wear, and a lot of people start to get a lot of gratification benefits out of this new label because it gives you something that maybe you weren't having before, whether it be attention, sympathy, playing the victim, all these
Mhm.
things. And it's all very psychological. I'm glad you pointed that out. We can always change, right?
Absolutely, and yeah, it's that attachment to the benefits that we get quite addicted to it, and we
Yeah.
get stuck in a cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Would you say that's one of the biggest things to notice, or one of the biggest things that you see is that when people are really resistant to shifting towards health and homeostasis, that people are actually really addicted to that particular identity or benefits?
yeah, 100%,
You see that?
100%.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, that they might not see it.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's a
And
new thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
but but certainly I see it a lot with the younger generation.
Ah.
So getting very attached to labels, and so they'll come
Mm.
to me and say, I'm bipolar. This is who I am. I'm bipolar." And I'm
Yeah.
thinking, I'm bipolar too. Like
We
we
all
share
are.
this in common. Yeah,
Yeah.
we all are.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. And but it does. It brings exactly what you said. It either gives them sympathy, it gives them attention, it gives them monetary benefits, and then they get quite addicted to that.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah, I was going to say that it's almost like it becomes this identity that you have to defend with your life. Like I've known people who one woman was like, I have brain damage. And it's like there is an ability to heal, but if you keep saying I have brain damage, then that's self-perpetuating that loop. And not playing down the severity of someone's situation, of course, we never want to do that. But when you're, like you said, focusing on that, let's say, negative or focusing on that particular identity, then you are reinforcing over and over again. And there's another, I've known people with bipolar and they have a very much an identity, a community even, where they're like, we are bipolar. And I'm not sure if I even want to go into the transgender part, but it seems to be a really big thing these days, right? Whereas I identify with this particular way of being, this particular lifestyle. And then if you change your mind, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I can't change my mind because I'm stuck with that. Even with my hair, like I've had pink hair for such a long time. When I went back to black normal, I actually didn't feel myself. I actually do feel more comfortable when I have a certain look. But and I did question myself, is this my identity? Am I playing a role or do I truly feel authentic in this way? Is that what you're seeing as well?
Yeah, and I think we also need to note that our values change as well as we go through life. And
Yeah.
so as we transcend, what we value also shifts. And so there's that journey of finding who you are, but then that can morph and change depending on our environment. And I think the environment today is very different to what I grew up in. And like
Yeah.
a lot of what you're sharing then, people had no idea that was even a thing. Like even
No.
like bipolar and stuff like that. I don't think I had anyone that I knew, or I didn't learn about, I didn't know what bipolar was until I studied it. But so I certainly didn't grow up with anyone that, or if they had it, they certainly didn't share it.
Yeah.
And a lot of this transgender and gender identity and things like that wasn't a thing when I grew up. It
Oh,
certainly
yeah.
wasn't spoken about. It may have been there, but it wasn't spoken about. And yeah, so we I guess more aware of this today, and people do find an identity with it because they relate to it,
Yeah.
and they'll go on a journey with it, but that will help them find themselves.
Yeah.
So it is a matter of going, I guess, following your heart, provided that's what's pulling you, as opposed to people telling you and you think you need to, or you think this. I think that's part of the issue today is that we're not connecting the heart brain
Yeah.
well, because we live in this very busy world. And so in a high beta state where our brain waves are super active, we're disconnected from the heart. And so we're in this world today where it's not really heart led. It's very too much in that thinking part of the brain, and we get stuck. And this is a lot of this anxiety. We live in a very anxious world. The media likes to drive this anxiety.
Yeah.
And consumerism was also driving anxiety. So yeah, this is, I guess, the world we live in, and it's a very different world to what I grew up in.
Yeah. Do you think it's, I guess, in a way, it's helpful to have that, I won't say label, but to be diagnosed, let's say. It's helpful to be diagnosed because then you can breathe a sigh of relief and go, oh, it's recognized. Oh, I'm not abnormal. I'm not freakishly weird. It's almost like that comfort in knowing that this is a thing. But then I suppose the danger would be in identifying too much with that thing and going, that's all I am, and that's the maximum capacity of it, and being stuck in that. I feel
Mm.
like that's the danger zone, would you say?
Yeah, the attachment. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
attachment.
But in terms of the diagnosis, as you said, that awareness is really helpful, right? So when people are aware they've got anxiousness, then they can look and educate themselves around what can help alleviate anxiousness.
Yeah.
So I think that's really helpful is the awareness piece. But it's, as you said, it's the next layer down from that is where they get attached to it and identify themselves as that label, and
Yeah.
that can it provided it's not lifelong. It's okay for a period of time whilst they go on that self discovery, but it's where you get stuck, and that's what I was alluding to earlier. Is it's nothing wrong with being anxious occasionally or depressed occasionally. It's when you're chronically
Yeah.
stuck in that state.
That's the Chinese medicine stagnation state, isn't it?
Yes,
That's
yeah,
the
you're
cause of
correct.
all illness and disease. It's stagnation. And that's a really good point that you bring up because yes, it's okay to identify with a certain state, be it anxiousness, depressive, bipolar, but living your whole life as that, do you think is that part of somebody's identity then? Is it not the healing journey anymore because you're just stuck there? Like all these questions, like maybe that person is meant to, maybe that's that person's mission. What I talk about, this, your sole purpose, is it that person's mission to identify with that particular condition so that they can help advocate and create awareness for others? But then does it become unhealthy for the individual themselves because then they're too much? Like, how do you know?
And I think that's what you've revealed there is essentially we don't, and
Yeah.
and because exactly they can build up an association, they can help so many other people's along their journey, and it becomes the way they contribute, and hence their identity and their meaning and purpose in life. I'm not taking that away from the person. It's something. It I think it's questionable is when it's not serving you.
Yes.
In that case that you shared, they are that service to many. You can really see the meaning and purpose behind it.
Mm.
It's where they're not flourishing. So I think we need to distinguish between are they identifying with the light label and just surviving, or are
Yeah.
they identifying with the label and thriving? So I think
Yes.
that's probably the yeah yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that's a really good point. I think we need to get used to what you just said as being a normal way, a healthy way of living life. Because this idea of I'm stuck with this label and I'm just a X, like fill in the blanks, right? And then it becomes a limiting statement. That's all I'm going to be. Whereas we have potential for multiple different things. And as you might know, that I'm really into quantum science right now. I'm reading this amazing book, and there is a potential for infinite possibilities. And the only way they come into reality or manifestation is to observe. And this is the observe them, and then it becomes a reality and cancels out all the other potentialities. But then they can come back again once you decide and choose to. So I think it's a really powerful way of starting to shift our perspective in humanity because a lot of things that we grew up with don't exist anymore, and all this new science and new philosophy has come into ways of being. What are some of the most powerful tools that you can recommend to anyone who's wanting to improve their mental health or trying to bring back some homeostasis into their life?
Yeah, I think it's really empowering and educating yourself. So it's certainly going out there and looking for people that resonate with you and the message they're sharing aligns with who you are. So it's really going on a journey and connecting with those that are going to inspire you and help you on your journey. So yeah, I reckon that you just got to explore. And I think part of the thing today, we just want the answers.
Yeah.
But I think part of the excitement is not finding the answers and going down all these rabbit holes, right?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
it's how we all arrive at this the quantum side because it will all eventually lead there. But yeah, but I think that's the other thing is I just want to know, I just want the answers, and that's
Yeah.
very much a survival thinking. But a thrival state is realizing that I may never find the answer, but I'm okay
Yeah.
with that.
I love that.
Um, and that's constantly inspiring me to grow and to look and to continue to be curious and to learn and learn. And so I think when you're saying that you just want to get out of this state or you want to break free or you're looking for the instant gratification, it's all survival mechanisms.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think you want to start questioning your behavior if you think you just want the answer. You've got to have the answer. You've got to have it now. And that is a survival state. It's I've got to get away from that tiger and I've got to get away from that tiger now because if I don't, I'm not here. It's
Yeah. That's
yeah.
a really good point. I love how you brought that up. And I know I've been in this state myself where it's like, I just want the partner. I just want the life
Yeah.
to work out. I just want the job that pays well. And I just want all these foundational, stable things that really does come from survival because you just want that baseline. And I like it how you've created living that journey, enjoying that journey in a new kind of perspective. Because how many times do people say, oh, just enjoy the journey? It's not about what at the end. And you're like, shut up. You're like, yeah, okay. You're bored of that statement, even though it's true. But that's like a cool way of starting to go, oh, I'm not surviving anymore. I'm in thrival state. I love that. And now I can actually take my time with this. That's super cool.
Yeah, 100%, Michelle. And you really address that. There is a basic level of needs, a Maslow hierarchy of needs. So, yes, you can start thinking about thrival when you have the shelter, when you've got the food
Yes.
in front of you. So, I'm not taking away that that's a really essential part of life. And in order to thrive, we need to survive first. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so one comes before the other. But yeah, it's just so those recognizing once they've got the shelter, the food, and the basic necessities that then they want to start transcending up the Maslow hierarchy of needs or
Yeah.
the pyramid. So I yeah, so it really depends on where the person's at because I can understand someone in their 20s is still resource gathering, right? They really don't have a home or they still might be couch surfing. So the
Yeah.
next goal might be just to have I don't want to couch surf
Definitely.
for the rest of my life.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you're an author as well. Can you share a bit about your book? Because pretty much all we've been talking about is in your book. So can you share about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's feeling broken. It's the pathway to self-love and healing. And it's very much what my clients go on. Their journey is that they come to me in pieces or perceived pieces. And what I help them see is that they're complete and whole as they are. There's nothing more that they need or want. Everything's there. It's just a matter of helping them find it. So that's the book is taking someone that feels in pieces like anxious and thinking that life's unfair and it's too tough and why me and that sort of as you described as that victim mentality or the looking for sympathy mentality is very much a survival state, right? So this book is helping them go from that survival to thrival to find who they are. And that's a lifelong journey in itself.
Yeah.
It's constantly evolving too as you, I guess, transcend through life. That's very much the path of the book. I'm in a stage of rewriting it. So I was unhappy with the draft because I've never written a book before. So I've now got a professional author or I guess a book coach to make sure that I can actually publish something that is really helpful. At the end of the day, I want it to be helpful as opposed to, yes, Anthony's an author.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Absolutely.
I don't want to identify it as just an author. I want to actually produce something that's helpful to people.
Yeah. Like a guidebook that people can really like
Yes,
rely upon. Yeah. That's awesome.
yes, correct.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
And so just to summarize, I suppose it's like the what we want to do is move like you'll come in presenting with symptoms because your body is the true barometer that's showing you where to focus on next, and then being able to reflect, analyze, observe what's happening, and that to understand that the real root cause is these emotional, mental health parts of us that we if we choose, if it's choose your own adventure, if you choose to take on the mission, that this is really going to be able to put us on the path towards health and stability.
100%, 100%. And like, I could just, I'll share a little bit of my story is that my disowned parts were the ones that were bullied, right?
We've all
But
had that.
but I've realized that those bullies were making me aware of something I hadn't loved and
Mm.
to help me love it. That was my journey. And I realized in time that everyone sees the world differently and that we are complete and whole as we are. Yeah, so I think the sides that you'll connect well with are the people are where you've got admiration, where people have, oh, I love your hair, or I love this about you, and so you'll connect with that because people are and in admiration of it. Then the stuff that we disown is the stuff that gets bullied, but they're just
Oh,
waking, yeah, they're just waking us up to be aware of that side that we haven't loved.
oh, that's really
um,
interesting.
yeah,
Ah, I
yeah,
didn't know. Yeah, that's a really good way to put it, that you're bullied for the parts of yourself that you don't love because they're the mirror. Other people are the
yes,
mirror of
yes,
that. That's really
yes,
cool.
yes. Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit deeper into that? I think that's very interesting.
Yeah, we see the world as we are, not as it is. And that world is shaped based on the people around us, right? So our upbringing is very much survival. We are so dependent on others. And so we will take in a lot of what our preachers, teachers, influencers, parents, brothers, sisters, cousins, everyone, right? So they all have some sort of influence in shaping the way we see the world from an early age. And they're sharing stuff from the perspective as how they see the world, right? And so what they admire in you is something they admire in themselves. And so I guess passing that on to
Yeah.
you is that they will share with you the stuff they love about themselves and
Mm.
they will wake you up to the stuff they haven't loved in themselves. And
So simple,
yeah,
but so powerful.
yeah, it is. It is. It is. And our journey is to realize that, and this is the thing, we have this lens and this lens is constantly being shaped by the outside world unless we step in and start to shape it ourselves and start
Mm.
to get off that I guess was it the opaque, what's opaque, this clear, so
Yep.
we want to see the world as it is, which is clear,
Yeah.
right? But we have this lens that's
Filter. Yep.
opaque, the filter, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And so our journey in life is to really scrub that down or clean it, right? And it is very much aligns to 2025, which was the Chinese zodiac, the snake, which is about
Mm.
shedding.
Mm.
And we're about to roll into the horse. So I think this podcast is probably good timing for some as to, what do I want to shed in my filter that's not serving me,
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
holding me back, so that then I can be the horse next year and gallop into the year and take it on the world with confidence and my authentic self and be happy for everyone to see me because horses are big animals, right?
Yeah.
And
Aren't they the?
strong and
Yeah.
powerful. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I love that. I think what you've said about the snake and the horse and ancient medicine, ancient traditions, I really believe in because why are they ancient? Because they work. They've been around. So yeah, that idea of 2025 as the shedding year, that resonates so well. And I'm sure a lot of people out there are going, what the heck happened this year? What's going on? And that totally coincides and explains really well how everyone's talking about this consciousness shift this year and then next year, and how people are up leveling to a new level of consciousness. Yeah, I love it. That's amazing.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Yeah, awesome. All right. Is there any final words of wisdom that you want to share or anything that you feel like we should have talked about that you want to bring up?
I think really get curious into what you love. Like I think it's just connecting with what makes your heart sing. That was a big part of my shift in life was I finally connected with my heart. I got out of my
Mm.
head brain, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
think the more I can encourage people to slow down,
Mm.
reflect. Again, that's part of the shedding process. We've got to be aware of what needs to be shed in order to shed it. And that requires slowing down and reflecting. And I think COVID was that worldwide event that we all needed. We needed to
Yeah.
wake us up because we got stuck on this hamster wheel and it was just spinning and everyone was spinning their wheels. And then finally COVID came to slow everyone down. and
Yeah.
to wake them up and to realize, oh, geez, I'd been spinning my wheels. And the whole, we call it the great pause, which led to the great resignation for obvious reasons, because people think, no, I'm not doing this. I don't want to do this. I don't like this. I don't want to do
Why
this.
have I been doing this
Um,
all this time?
yeah, yes, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. No, that's awesome. Thank you so much for being on the show. You've got your a free discovery session that we'll put the link down there and all the work that you've been doing. Thank you so much. And you're going to be hopefully speaking next year at a conference so people can come and find you. Anything else you wanted to share?
Just yeah, really embrace 2026. But I think at this point of the year is really reflect on 2025 and look at what you've shed and recognize it and look in all different forms. So you might have shed some relationships, you might have shed some subscriptions that you
Yeah,
hadn't used or never
definitely.
used and finally got rid of them.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
a good
you,
one.
you might have let go of some prior knowledge that wasn't serving you, and
Yeah.
yeah, so
Believe-
you've shed some. Yep, exactly. Or you, and this, all of this may have, and back to the health. I guess you might have shed some unhealthy habits that weren't serving you, but and ultimately, all of this is taking you on a spiritual path. But yeah, we're constantly transforming, and that's one thing that's constant is that everything's transforming around us, and we're transforming in a consistent way. And so I think it's embracing that, acknowledging that, seeing the transformation, and then allowing that to be showcased next year. Come
Yay!
out, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way. Yeah, that's a great way to end the year. I love that. Thank you so much again, Anthony. And everyone, if you've loved this episode and you've loved what Anthony has to say, definitely go check out his website. I think he's revising it right now. So brand new website coming out. Check out his material. Check out his podcast. I'm going to be a guest on his podcast as well. And we'll see everyone next time. Thanks, Anthony.
Thanks, Michelle. Thank you, listeners. Bye.